So I know what the title says. At least I think I know what it's going to say. I haven't actually decided. But something about how Food Wars is really good. And I don't think that's an opinion most people agree with. And it just gives me one hell of an air of degeneracy that I don't exactly want. But I will explain myself. Food Wars is my favorite modern battle shonen. Let's talk about that. Let me dissect that. First, I said favorite. I don't think it's objectively the best I've seen. There's a lot better. And specifically battle shonen. So, in terms of other modern things, I think stuff like Fire Force, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, which I haven't seen. But, stuff that's come out the last couple of years that, fits the modern shonen mold. You know what I'm talking about. My Hero Academia. It's my favorite, which is crazy. Why do I like it so much? I like cooking shows. If only that was just it. I just think it's really good. I think the characters are written super well. I think it has a great structure. I love tournament arcs, and there's two. I think there's one, and then another one you could probably argue is a tournament arc, and they're both really good. Now, I have something else I probably have to admit, and that's that I have not finished the show, which seems odd, but I finished the 4th play, and I said, wow, I'm good. I don't need to be disappointed by the 5th play. And I turned it off. So I like 4/5 of the show. One day I'm going to read the manga. Actually, I read a little bit already. And then, we'll get the ending there. And if I hate it there, then obviously I don't think it'll be much better in the anime. But let's talk about the elephant in the room with Food Wars, and that is just the ecchi, the massive amounts. Am I a fan? Is that my shtick? No, it's not. In fact, it annoys me. I don't like how I don't like how common it is in Food Wars, but I don't hate how it's done because I think it's not lewd for the sake of being lewd. I think it's creative, and I think it's a well-done product that I don't think it's done in a good way. Okay, let me put it like that. Kind of like a more crass version of Monogatari. How it just doesn't feel like I don't know, it just doesn't bother me when it's done, which is weird. But it's not the reason I watched the show. I think that puts on a little bit of a guise. That's what you're getting this massive, ecchi anime going in, but I think if you peel back the layers, as I think I've said before, you get what is maybe not maybe, I think it's the best modern battle shonen. I think a lot of that comes down to Soma, who I think is maybe one of the greatest anime protagonists of all time. For a while with shonen anime, it was kind of just a win to be inoffensive to me. I don't like Naruto. I don't like Goku. From what I've read of One Piece, I'm not a big Luffy fan. Sorry, I've only read the manga, so pronunciation. But, not, and then recent stuff, Deku, not great. Gon, I like Gon, but he's nothing special. Shinra from Fire Force, inoffensive. All these characters I'm naming are just, either bad to at best, like a 5 out of 10, like average. Like, they don't offend me. Soma's just a good character. Soma is confident, but not, I would say not too confident. He's rightfully confident for his abilities. You see how much hard work he puts in. It's not just like, oh, he put in all this hard work. We see all the prep and planning he does most of the time, whether it's, in montage form. We know he's actively getting better. And what I like about Soma, I think, is something similar to Gon, is that a lot of times when he is in the room with other characters, he is not immediately the strongest, or I guess in Food Wars' case, the best cook. There's always feels like there's 1 or 2 or even 3 people who are better than him. If you look to the end of season 4, the 4th plate, he was the worst out of the 4 of them, probably, of the 4 cooks, in that the final bout. I won't get into it too much, but he probably was the worst. He was probably the least talented, which is cool, going into a tournament or going into watching him and just, obviously sometimes he's going to win. Sometimes you're like, okay, for the plot to progress, he kind of has to win here. But, the fact that he wins not on bullshit, first of all, which is a lot of characters, but it feels like he loses. And when he loses, it also doesn't feel like bullshit. It feels like appropriate. Something else is like, sometimes it comes down to like a very close margin, whether he's going to win or not. Like it comes down to like a hair. And that's exciting. Either him not getting complete, I feel like with a lot of battle shonen characters, they either, you either are so clear they're going to win, or they're so in over their head and they're going to lose. And there's no nuance. There's no in between. And there is in Food Wars. I think also the characters are just, I love all the characters in this show. Like, I cannot think of one I dislike. I think even, like, the characters who are supposed to be the villains are awesome. I think specifically Arena, Todokuro, Alice, Ishiki, Ryo, Ikumi, the Aldini brothers. I'm just like, Hisoka, is that her name? I don't know. It's not Hisoka. What is her name? I don't know. But yeah, there's just a lot of good characters off rip. And I think that's a big deal. Like, a lot of shows have, if like a lot of battle shows especially, just have like not great casts. That is something I've always praised My Hero Academia for, is the fact that it's got a very strong cast. But even My Hero Academia has a number of holes that I think are unbearable characters, and there's not a single one in Food Wars. At worst, the character is just okay, and if that is your bottom line, that is pretty great. Another thing, this really does not impact the quality of the show, but the openings for the show, every single one is ridiculously good, and I don't think people bring that up. I think people talk about the first one, but like Braver especially is like, ooh, it's great. I love it. Besides from that, it's JC staff. I alluded to it, and I think there's times when they put a little more budget into the show than others. But I don't think the show necessarily needs to look fantastic. It's just a cooking anime. Like, I think, if the knife animations aren't as clean, it's fine. I think it's more offensive in like shonen fights than it is in here. And, so I think it was a low bar. Like, I don't think the animation had to be too good. And I think it's serviceable. I think it looks great at times. Like, they really make it look good at times. And at other times, it's fine. It's doable. So a couple things I wanted to note. Off rip, I'm just not... I hate the beginning of the second plate. Like, am I alone? I think the first episode sucks. Like, that's the only thing I can think about the show that I really dislike. It's just the beginning of the second plate. If you've seen it, I don't want to get into the detail. I just think it's super poorly paced. Like, and then I remember watching that and I was like, man, is the rest of this season gonna suck? And it was like, no. Like, the pacing was good after that. It was just the first episode. I don't know why. Maybe they felt the need to make like an intro episode, and that's kind of what we got, which is fine. Anything else I want to talk about? No, I think I really went over everything. As a whole, I would, if you just like shonen, if you like battle shonen, if you're watching, if you've enjoyed the battle shonen of yesteryear, or you're watching battle shonen now, I don't think Food Wars is worth the overlook. I think it's obviously, if you really don't like the excessive ecchi, it's not as excessive as you think. I think it's actually quite creative how it's done sometimes, but I won't get into it. It's not as bad as as probably the public perception is. It's still not good, but if that's really going to bother you, you can't get through it, because it's every episode pretty much. So, that will be a pitfall. But if that doesn't bother you, and you think that's what the show is all about, it's not. It's seriously a great battle. It's a cooking ecchi anime, disguising a great modern battle shonen. And, it makes me sad that the show season 5 sucks, because I would love to watch more, because I had a great time watching the first 4 seasons, and it's long. Like, I don't usually watch long anime, and I watched all of it, and it's great. Watch it or don't. But if you have, and you have any similar opinions to mine, or don't, or you hate it, let me know. I'm curious.